Hey everyone, we are working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy the content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
Hold on. Hold on. Did you just see what I saw? Because I need you to rewind that if you missed it. That right there, that enormous human being going up and taking a football away from a defensive back like he was stealing candy from a child, that is a fourth-round pick. A fourth-round pick. The Cincinnati Bengals got that in round 4. I'm Dre. This is Dre Talk Sports. And today we are talking about the most quietly explosive selection the Bengals made in the entire 2026 NFL Draft. Because while everybody was locked in on the big defensive additions and the Dexter Lawrence buzz and what this roster looks like heading into the season, Cincinnati may have quietly slipped a cheat code into their offense when nobody was paying close enough attention. Colby Young, wide receiver out of Georgia. And if you are sleeping on this pick, you need to wake up right now, because we are about to show you exactly why this could end up being one of the steals of the entire draft class. Let me give you the full picture first, because context is everything on a story like this. The Cincinnati Bengals came into this offseason with a clear and urgent mission. After going 6-11 last season, their worst record since Joe Burrow's rookie year, and watching 3 straight playoff-free campaigns erode whatever goodwill the AFC Championship appearances had built, this organization needed to be aggressive. And to their credit, they were. The Dexter Lawrence trade was the headline, signing Boye Mafe to strengthen the edge, Brian Cook bolstering the secondary, Joe Flacco being retained. The defense got a near-complete overhaul, and the fan base responded accordingly. But here's what gets lost in all the defensive noise. The offense still needed work too, specifically at wide receiver depth. Yes, Jamar Chase is one of the best receivers in the National Football League. Full stop. No debate necessary. Yes, T. Higgins is a legitimate number 2 who makes every defense's life harder. But beyond those two, the depth chart thins out in a hurry. And if this Bengals offense is going to sustain drives, create mismatches in the red zone, and give Joe Burrow real options when defenses bracket Chase and Higgins, which they will, you need a third receiver with legitimate NFL upside. Enter Colby Young. Now, before we get into why this pick has the potential to be absolutely special, I have to be honest with you the way this channel always is, because pretending the red flags don't exist would be doing you a disservice. Colby Young came into the 2026 NFL Draft with baggage. Off-field concerns that were serious enough to make teams uncomfortable. An injury that cost him significant time last season and limited his overall production numbers. And a drops issue that scouts flagged consistently when reviewing his tape. Those 3 things combined are precisely why a receiver with his physical profile, a profile that in a vacuum should have been a second or third round pick, was still sitting there in round 4 for the Bengals to take. Teams passed on him multiple times for reasons that weren't just about football. And that reality deserves to be named clearly before we talk about the upside, because young players with off-field concerns don't always find their way. Some do, some don't, and the Bengals are betting that Colby Young is one who does. My personal opinion? I think the Bengals did their homework on this one. I think they looked at the tape, looked at the person, looked at the situation, and made a calculated bet that the circumstances that led to the off-field issues were either behind him or manageable within their system. Organizations at this level don't accidentally stumble into picks like this. They research, they visit, they bring these guys in, they sit across from them, they ask hard questions. And the fact that Cincinnati pulled the trigger tells me they liked what they found when they dug beneath the surface. That doesn't guarantee anything, but it matters. Now let's talk about what Colby Young actually brings to the football field, because this is where the conversation gets genuinely exciting. According to CBS sports analyst Ryan Wilson, who specifically called Young the Bengals' most surprising pick of the entire draft, Young is, and I want you to lock in on this description, an enormous target who consistently wins in contested catch situations. Read that again. Enormous. Consistently, contested catch situations. In today's NFL, you know what that translates to in practical terms? Red zone nightmares for opposing defenses. Third down mismatches that defensive coordinators lose sleep over. Plays where Joe Burrow can look at a coverage, identify a one-on-one situation, and throw the ball to a spot knowing his receiver is big enough and physical enough to go get it, regardless of what the defensive back does. That is an incredibly specific and incredibly valuable skill set. Not every receiver has it. Most don't. The ones who do become weapons. Think about what this offense looks like when it's fully humming. Chase running routes that are so precise and so fast that corners basically have to guess. Higgins working the intermediate areas and finding soft spots in zones with the kind of veteran savvy that only comes with experience. And now, potentially, Colby Young in the red zone and on possession downs. A human mismatch problem at a position where size and contested catchability become the great equalizer. Defensive coordinators already have to make impossible choices against this offense. Do you bracket Chase and leave Higgins in man coverage? Do you bracket Higgins and let Chase eat? Now add a third option who is physically imposing enough that you can't just throw your nickel corner on him and expect to survive. That's what Young adds to this equation if he develops the way his tape suggests he can. But here's the part of this conversation that I think is most important, and it's the part that goes beyond just Colby Young as an individual player. The fact that Young was available in the 4th round tells a larger story about how NFL teams evaluate risk, and the Bengals, an organization that has been criticized rightfully for being too conservative in their roster-building decisions over the past few offseasons, made the calculated, aggressive call to embrace that risk when the value was undeniable. That's a mindset shift. That's a front office saying we are not going to let concerns about optics or the possibility of failure stop us from taking a swing at a player this talented when he falls into our lap at this point in the draft. And that matters. That is culturally significant for a franchise that has spent 3 years being passive when they needed to be bold. Now, they're also getting Cassius Howell and Takario Davis in this draft class, who bring their own distinct value to the defensive side of the ball. But I keep coming back to Young specifically because of where this offense is in its developmental arc. The Bengals are not rebuilding. They are not projecting 3 years down the road. They are in win-now mode, openly and aggressively. Joe Burrow said it at the Met Gala. The Dexter Lawrence trade proved it. Every significant move this offseason has pointed in the same direction. This team is swinging for the Super Bowl in 2026. And when you're in win-now mode with a quarterback like Burrow, finding a legitimate receiving weapon in the 4th round of the draft isn't just a nice bonus. It's potentially the piece that makes an already formidable offense genuinely terrifying. Let me also address the drops concern directly. Because if you followed Young's college tape, you know it's real and it can't be hand-waved away. There were moments where Young had the ball in his hands in situations that should have been automatic, and he let them get away. In the NFL, where margins are razor-thin and a single dropped pass can swing field position, momentum, and ultimately games, a receiver who can't hold on to the football consistently is a liability regardless of his physical gifts. The Bengals know this. Their coaching staff knows this. And if Young is going to have a real impact in Cincinnati, not just in practice, not just in preseason, but in the moments that matter in October and November, and ideally January, he has to fix that. He has to make that a strength rather than a question mark. The good news? Drops are among the most correctable issues in a receiver's game when a player has the right mindset and the right coaching environment. They're not a physical limitation. They're a technical and focus issue. And the Bengals have the infrastructure to address it. My honest assessment is this. Colby Young is a high-ceiling, real-risk swing in exactly the right spot of the draft to be taking that kind of swing. 4th round, that's where you gamble on upside. That's where teams who are willing to do their homework and trust their evaluation can find players who significantly outperform their draft position. The Bengals have the quarterback, the offensive system, and now the motivation to get maximum development out of Young quickly. If he cleans up the drops, stays focused off the field, and continues to develop that contested catch game that already has analysts buzzing, we could be sitting here a year from now talking about one of the steals of the entire 2026 draft class. And that's what makes this Cincinnati Bengals story so compelling right now. They didn't just have a good offseason in the conventional sense. They had a complete offseason, addressing the defense dramatically with proven veterans and then supplementing the offense with developmental talent that has the potential to emerge fast. That is how you build a Super Bowl roster. You don't just spend on the big names. You find the hidden value. You take the calculated risks. You trust your evaluation when everyone else is scared. And in Colby Young, the Bengals may have done exactly that. The AFC is on notice. Joe Burrow is locked in. The defense is rebuilt. And there might be a secret weapon in the receiver room that nobody saw coming. That is the story of the 2026 Cincinnati Bengals offseason. And we are going to be right here every single step of the way, covering every angle, every development, every twist this season brings. That's it for today's breakdown. But before you go anywhere, if this video added value to your day, smash that like button right now. Seriously, right now, don't think about it. Drop a comment below and tell me what you think. Is Colby Young a genuine steal? Or is the risk too high for your comfort? I want the real takes down there, not the safe ones. And if you haven't subscribed to Dre Talk Sports yet, hit that button and ring that bell, because we are producing the most in-depth, no-filter Bengals and NFL coverage on this platform, and you do not want to miss a single video. Until next time, I'm Dre. Let's get it.